farmers and Extinction Rebellion also work together on some issues. On some, on some. Well,
you're lying.
well,
No, really, you're talking about fatherland, our people, our nation. It's not a nation. You're really talking for yourself and not by me or most of the people here. It was rubbish what you were telling. Really, I'm so upset.
Do you agree that the farmers should lose their land, potentially, to reduce these nitrogen emissions?
Yes.
Lincoln J for Rebel News here in the city of Hague, about a 40-minute drive outside of Amsterdam. Now, behind me, a demonstration is just wrapping up where supporters of the farmers are protesting a treaty agreement between Canada and the Netherlands that coincides with what we are seeing with the farmer protests all across the Netherlands. Now, for those of you that don't know, farmers have been protesting in this country for, I would say, the past month against new environmental policies on nitrogen emission that is simply going to decimate the agricultural sector here in the Netherlands. So what the demonstrators are specifically protesting here today is CETA. Now, so with Dutch now signatories to CETA and net exporters of agricultural products, they have agreed to put all their export and trade commodities through this strange requirement to meet the Paris Agreement climate change targets. And Canadians should care because this is a trade agreement authorized by the Liberals and we are bound by it too. Meaning these nitrogen targets and animal agricultural land use rules could come to Canada too. The Liberals have said CETA's climate targets are not binding, but they also said the Paris Accord itself was not binding, but then they built a carbon tax around it and raised it twice. This is from the agreement, quote, "It means ensuring that trade agreements include strong provisions in important areas such as labor rights, environmental protection, and gender equality, and reinforces the continued right of government to regulate in the public interest. In that regard, CETA is the most ambitious and progressive trade agreement Canada and the EU have ever negotiated." End quote. It stands for Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement. So why are governments working on this treaty? How is it going to benefit them? It's simple. The benefits of the treaty are immediately noticeable for companies. Abolition of reduction of import duties, and 98% of the import tariffs on products eventually expire. If the Social Democrats vote for CETA, it will pass. Now back to the farmers, and why is CETA bad particularly for the farmers? CETA gives multinationals many advantages. So you may ask yourself, why is there a Trojan horse here at the demonstration? Well, what it's supposed to represent is international cooperation. But what it really means is corporations having more overreach. So we're standing here outside of the Senate in the city of Hague where they're going to be voting on this treaty tomorrow. We actually had the opportunity to speak with a lawyer here in the Netherlands who stands with the farmers and explains to us why this treaty is not good for anybody and especially not for Canadians and the Dutch. Let's check it out. We saw people here with Extinction Rebellion flags, and at first glance you would think that they would potentially be against the farmers, but it might not be that way. Can you kind of explain a little bit?
yeah. Now, in Holland, the farmers and Extinction Rebellion also work together on some issues. On some, on some. Well,
you're lying.
well,
No, really, you're talking about fatherland, our people, our nation. It's not a nation.
You're kind of against what's going on with the farmers. Can you kind of explain?
Yes, I'm not eating meat because I think it's horrible to eat meat. And if you see how they treat animals in a cage with all young, baby pigs. And we are exporting that much to Africa, and we are competing to the African farmers, and we destroyed our market. So small farmers making food for your own country, less animals, eat something else.
Do you think that, do you agree that the farmers should lose their land, potentially, to reduce these nitrogen emissions?
Yes. To save the climate and save the other animals. If you see the birds, because they have calc, some stuff, less stuff, the bones are really tiny and they are not growing, the birds, anymore, because there is too much stick stuff. I don't know in English the name, so skip that.
Won't if they get rid of the farmers' land and they build houses?
No, it's not about building houses. That's what they try to tell you, that they have to give up their land to build houses. That's not. Of course, we need more houses because we are growing in amount of people, but we have to get rid of all those big farms to save the climate.
What do the farmers do for income? How do they get by? Where do they go? How can these are farmers who have had farmland in their families for generations. And now you have people basically in suits coming to your door telling you no more. Why should this happen? Why should they just give it up?
So I worked as a nurse, and I was without a job because they had too many nurses. So do I get my bags and all my stuff and block the government? Or mistreating people, or threatening people because I'm losing my job? No. We have to do something for the climate. No.
I don't know, guys. Do you have anything else that you'd like to ask?
Do you support the World Economic Forum?
No, of course not. That's.
Ask that again.
So. No, I'm not the Agenda 2022. No, it's rubbish. That's complot. It's complot theory. I don't like it. I'm not involved in that sort of things.
Do you agree with Agenda 2030? It's the sustainable development.
We need to have another world. Another world is possible.
Do you agree with the New World Order then?
Now, if
Would
that's.
Would you mean no?
No.
Would you mean
No.
Would you mean no?
Actual move within the Dutch political parties, several of them, who actually promote this kind of treaty and who actually promote these multinationals. And the only thing we have to do as citizens is say no, really say no. And I think the farmers are so important because they have no double crossing, no double agenda. They're honest people, hardworking people who have everything to lose. We will lose. We have a lot to lose. We will become much more kind of a slave than a human being with their own choice. So,
do you have a message for Canadians that think that there's just no chance that these environmental policies will come to Canada? What is your message to them?
Well, first of all, we like Canada. A lot of the Dutch people like Canada and they like Canadian farmers. It's not against the farmers. We don't like the multinationals. I heard there were 400 environmental groups that are against this CETA trade agreement, Canadian organizations. There's no issue that the Dutch people and the Canadian people like each other. We just don't like the multinationals. We just don't like the big agri firms that just pollute. They use a lot of pesticides that are harmful. And we need to build together on a better world. And we can do that. And also, I love the truckers. Thanks. I was so happy that the truckers, what they did was just completely amazing for me. And it gives me so much hope to see people standing up for their own rights and doing what they believe is good to do. So thank you.
Would you say that the protests that we're seeing here with the farmers is somewhat influenced by what we saw with the truckers in Ottawa?
It could be. It could be. I don't know. But I think what is so great about the Dutch farmers is that they're very honest people, and they do it because they think it's the right thing. And that was the same thing with the truckers. They have no instruction from anybody. There is no actual plan, only that they feel it's unfair what's happening and they start doing something. And that's just fantastic, because that's the whole thing, what's important. If something is wrong, just say no. Start by saying no and start to make up a plan on the way as you see things happening.
Myself and Lincoln J are following updates of the Dutch farmers who are demonstrating against the Dutch government about the radical green policies. If you'd like to support our work, you can head on over to farmerrebellion.com to support our work, help chip in and donate and keep the updates going.
Yes, guys, through that website you can stay up to date with all of our coverage so you do not miss a beat. Right behind us is just one of many protests happening across the Netherlands in relation to new environmental policies the government here is trying to implement. So go to farmersrebellion.com and consider donating if you can. It's not cheap for us to get over here, guys. If you want to help out with our travel, food, and accommodation costs, you can donate through that same website.